This is the Realme 8i disassembly. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. And if you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, the SIM tray needs to be removed. Next, we need to apply heat to the back plate using a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then we're going to use a plastic pry tool to pry the back plate off. The back plate is made of plastic. Next, the camera lens cover needs to be removed. The glass covers over the camera lens can be replaced by applying heat and prying the glass portion off. There are 16 Phillips screws that need to be removed. Once the screws are removed, we need to place a plastic pry tool in between the back housing and the front of the phone and run it along the edges to pop off the catches. Now before we can completely remove the back housing, the cable for the fingerprint reader is still attached to the main board, so we need to disconnect that. The back housing is also plastic. And there's graphene film to help transfer heat, as well as numerous antenna flex cables around the housing. Now that we have access to the battery cable, we're going to disconnect that first. Once the battery cable is disconnected, we can proceed to disconnect the rest of the cables. There's a coaxial cable on the right side of the board that needs to be disconnected by popping it off. There's also some graphene film covering the connector for the front-facing camera that we need to peel off so we can disconnect and remove it. Now the main board can be lifted up and removed. On the top corner is the 50 megapixel primary lens, next to is the black and white lens, and on the bottom is the macro lens. The LED flash is located here, there are rubber gaskets around the connectors, and there's copper tape over the shield. There's also a liquid damage indicator, which is this white sticker on the corner. On the back, the proximity sensor is located on top, the SIM reader and memory card reader is located here, and there's more copper tape on top of the back shields as well as some thermal paste. Once the copper tape is peeled back, there's more thermal paste on top of the processor, RAM, and these chips over here. To remove the battery, there's a provided pull tab we can use to help pry the battery off. Here's a better look at the battery. The bottom speaker assembly can be removed by lifting it up and pulling it out. Here's a better look at that. There's also a mesh filter over the opening. The flex cable connecting the main board to the subboard needs to be disconnected, as well as the other end of the coaxial cable. Now the subboard can be lifted up and removed. There's a rubber gasket around the charger port and headphone jack, and the primary microphone is located in the center. Here's a look at the other side. Once the battery adhesive tape is pulled back, we can see the flex cable for the screen, which is routed through an opening in the mid-frame. So if you needed to replace your screen, you'd have to remove the back plate and the screws on the back housing, as well as remove the back housing itself, disconnect the battery cable and the screen cable, remove the battery, and pull back the battery adhesive tape so you have access to the screen cable. At that point, you would heat up the front of the phone where the screen is, so you can loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry your old screen off, apply new adhesive and reapply your new screen, making sure you run the cable back through the opening, and reassemble your phone. Once the flex cables are peeled off, we can see a copper heat pipe, which runs underneath the battery and the motherboard over here. Moving on, the vibrator motor is located on the bottom, and it's held down with some adhesive. The flex cable for the power button is located here, and the flex cable for the volume keys is on the other side. The earpiece speaker is located on top, and that's also held down with some adhesive. And finally, there's one more liquid damage indicator underneath the SIM reader, which is this white sticker over here. As far as repairability goes, I give this phone a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once everything's back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply your backplate. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.